This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Russian oil firms face delays of up to several months to be paid for crude and fuel as banks in China, Turkey and the United Arab Emirates, UAE, become more wary of U.S. secondary sanctions. 8 sources familiar with the matter said. Payment delays reduce revenue to the Kremlin and make them erratic, allowing Washington to achieve its dual policy sanction goals, to disrupt money going to the Kremlin to punish it for the war in Ukraine while not interrupting global energy flows. Several banks in China, the UAE and Turkey have boosted their sanctions compliance requirements in recent weeks, resulting in delays or even the rejection of money transfers to Moscow, according to the 8 banking and trading sources.
U.S. crude oil and gasoline inventories rose unexpectedly last week, driven by a rise in crude imports and sluggish gasoline demand, the Energy Information Administration said on Wednesday. Crude inventories rose by 3.2 million barrels to 448.2 million barrels in the week ended March 22, the AIS said, compared with analysts' expectations in a Reuters poll for a 1.3 million barrel draw. The crude build was supported by a net increase in U.S. crude imports by 1.12 million barrels per day, and is setting the stage for a monthly build in crude oil, according to Matt Smith, lead oil analyst at Kepler.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Some companies planning to use new U.S. tax credits to deploy hydrogen projects urged the Treasury Department this week to ease proposed environmental requirements, warning that they could hinder the nascent industry's takeoff. Treasury and the Internal Revenue Service hosted hearings this week on the guidance they released in December governing implementation of the Clean Hydrogen Production, or 45 volts, tax credit, one of the most lucrative incentives in the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act. The credit would create a 10-year incentive for clean hydrogen production of up to $3 per kilogram.
The Biden administration on Wednesday awarded contracts to buy 2.8 million barrels of oil for the government's emergency reserve for more than $81 a barrel, $2 above the target purchase price. The Department of Energy, DOE, said it will spend $225.6 million to buy oil to refill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, SPR, from Atlantic Trading and Marketing, Macquarie Commodities, and Sunoco Partners Marketing and Terminals. The oil is set to be delivered in September. The price is about $81.32 a barrel, based on the DOE announcement. The Energy Department has previously said it aims to purchase at a price of $79 per barrel or below, less than the average of about $95 it received for 2022 emergency SPR sales. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. China's top copper smelters have proposed a production cut of 5% to 10% and decided not to issue guidance prices for copper processing charges for the second quarter, 2 sources with knowledge of the matter said on Thursday. The announcements, made at a meeting of the China smelters purchase team in the commercial hub of Shanghai, come after the world's top producer of refined copper grappled with short supply and a sharp drop in TCs in the spot market. Top smelters agreed the spot market had become disconnected from true market fundamentals, one meeting participant told Reuters.
India's gold imports are set to plunge by more than 90% in March from the previous month to hit their lowest level since the COVID pandemic as banks cut imports after record high prices hit demand, a government official and 2 bank dealers told Reuters. Lower imports by India, the world's second biggest consumer of the precious metal, could limit a rally in global prices that hit a record high earlier this month on expectations that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates this year. The drop in imports could also help India narrow its trade deficit and support the rupee.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Brazilian soybean production will total 156.5 million metric tons this year, an agribusiness consultancy said on Wednesday after surveying fields nationally and estimating planted area expansions in the world's largest producer and exporter. In the middle of AgroConsult's expedition, which started in January, it had projected production at 152.2 million tons, citing climate uncertainty in key producing regions affecting Brazil's output potential. Using a new methodology to gauge planted area, AgroConsult said soybean farmers planted their crop on 46.4 million hectares, 114.6 million acres, this season. That is 1.2 million hectares more than projected by government crop agency CONAB and 1.4 million hectares more than in the previous year, AgroConsult said.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.